All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go from Auto Club. Jesse Gordon and CJ Jeffries have the front row. Richie Joplin and Blake Veakin on the second row. Michael Whiting and Paulo Anacito on the third row. Mark Dantuma, Gerald Poole have the fourth row. Duddle D and Brandon Newby round out the field. Hey, good evening, Kevin. When will we see you back on track? How you feeling, bud? Everybody getting stacked up on pit road. And it looks like Brandon Newby will not make the grid tonight. Drivers begin to roll off pit road. Oh, Kevin, looking forward to it, buddy. Count, have a good night, buddy. What in the world? Richie Joplin practically pushing Jesse Gordon down the backstretch. Hey, good evening, Nosity. All right, everybody is ready to go. Pace car dives to pit road. Here they come, waiting on Barney the flagman. The green flag flies. They're down and away at Auto Club. Everybody underway, side by side, into turn one. Whoa, a little bit of a slide from Richie coming out of turn two. Blake slips by, takes third. Richie back to fourth. Things got a little spicy coming through 1 and 2 that time. But it looks like Jesse Gordon will lead lap 1. Blake Veakin now up into second. Had a run underneath CJ. Jesse shut the door. Now CJ fights back on the high side. Blake slides in third. You can see how bumpy this track is as Paulo Anacito and Michael Whiting battle side by side for fifth. And CJ Jeffries takes the lead. Looks like Jesse Gordon led a lap and then just dropped back in line. Still side by side between Paulo and Michael Whiting, as this top four continues to battle back and forth. CJ trying to put some space between him and Richie. Jesse slides into third, Blake into fourth. Paulo now has fifth. Michael Whiting in 6, Mark Dantuma in 7, Double D in 8, and Gerald Thanos Poole in 9. Richie Joplin just set the fastest lap so far. The top 4 have a 1 second gap on Paulo back in 5th. Michael Whiting in 6, Dan Tuma in 7. Richie right back to the back bumper of CJ Jeffries. And Jesse Gordon is getting right up to the wall in turn 4, and he used it to get a big run down the front stretch, reclaim second. Jesse had a bit of a run out of 2, couldn't get to the inside on CJ yet. Blake Beacon back in 4th, about a half a second back from Richie at the moment. Jesse once again right to that outside wall, using the momentum as he comes down to try and battle for the lead. CJ shuts the door on him. Now the competition caution tonight is at lap 30. After that, the drivers are looking at 36 to 40 laps on a tank of fuel. Blake Beacon catching back up to that lead pack. That lead pack continuing to pull away from Paulo Inesito. Michael Whiting now trying to hold off Mark Dantuma. Meanwhile, that 4-car battle at the lead is still going. Man, they are cutting it close up at the front. Jesse Gordon a little too high, has kissed the wall. He is losing ground quickly. A big loss of momentum for Gordon. That is a risk when these guys get right out to the wall. Richie Joplin on the high side, trying to get by CJ and lead a lap. Our current points leader, Mark Nelson, didn't make the race tonight. Mark Dantuma comes into the night second, Richie Joplin in third. They are 1 point apart in second and third. Mark Nelson will have to use a drop race for tonight. Richie still holds on to second, but can't get by now. Blake Veekin looks underneath. Blake gets a big run out of turn 2. Jesse Gordon starting to pull back up to the group. Paulo Aniceto and Mark D'Antuma nose to tail, 5th and 6th. Michael Whiting lurking right behind in 7th. Double D back in 8th. Thanos appears to be having some problems tonight. He has slipped back to 9th. Jesse Gordon closing up on Veekin, back in the fight. Paulo Aniceto back in 5th is about 1.7 seconds behind Jesse. He is gaining a little bit of ground. We'll see how long that holds out. This lead pack has been on the attack since the drop of the green. Hey, good evening, Russell. How are you? Mark D'Antuma has gotten into 5th. Paulo has slipped back into 7th. As these three try and reel in that lead pack, they're now 2.1 seconds back, and the top 4 are racing like it's the last lap every lap. Russell, when will we see you back in the car, buddy? CJ Jeffries still has the lead. He's got to love the battling going on behind. They're fighting each other. He doesn't have to worry about it. Blake takes second place for the moment. Hey, good evening, Brandon. Russell, I sure hope it's soon, buddy. Blake closing right up on the bumper. Now Richie Joplin, Jesse Gordon. What a comeback for Jesse. He got almost a second behind, but has fought his way back up here. Now back up into 3rd. Mark D'Antuma leads that second group, 2.4 seconds back. They are gaining on the lead pack. As long as that... Oh! CJ has a big problem. He is in the wall, the first caution of the night at Auto Club. Blake Veekin has towed to pit road. Taking a look at this from the blimp to see what happened. Blake looking under CJ for the lead. Gets a good drive into 3 and 4. Starts working his way up the track. CJ gets the run on the outside. And Blake just gets loose out of 4. Slams into Jesse. Backs it into the wall. Ouch. CJ Jeffries and Richie Joplin staying out. Double D also staying out. Everybody else is in. Brandon, I know them walking boots ain't fun, buddy, but man, it sure does help in the long run. Interesting strategy as it looks like Dan Tuma, Whiting, and Jesse Gordon all did fuel only. However, Paul Inesito appears to have taken 4 tires. Gerald Poole also got fuel only. Blakey Poo is on pit road. Still, he had to tow it in. And Blake has resigned from the race. Must have been a harder hit than it looked like. I know he backed it into the wall, but didn't look like it did a whole heck of a lot of damage to the car. Brandon, that sounds really unpleasant, man. Hope you get better soon. Of all the work I've had done on my legs over the years, I have not had that done. Lights are out there, stacked back up. CJ Jeffries, Richie Joplin on the front row, Double D, Mark Dantuma on the second row, Michael Whiting, Paulo Inesito on the third row, Gerald Poole and Jesse Gordon round out the field. Paulo Inesito is the only driver that took 4 tires. I have a sneaking suspicion Paulo's going to be up front and checking out soon. And what do you say we get a little bit loud on the restart? When the green flag flies, I'll shut up so you guys can crank up the volume and listen to all that horsepower. And here we go into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. Crank it up, y'all. CJ Jeffries continues to lead, but the man on the move is the only driver with 4 fresh tires. Paulo Inesito restarted back in 7th, already to 4th, and about to take 3rd from Mark Dantuma. As the lead changes, Richie gets the lead for the first time tonight. But for how much longer? Paul Inesito is closing in quickly. Those four fresh Goodyears allowing him to go wherever he needs to. Worth noting that the fall off on the tires as Paulo takes second. The fall off on the tires already starting to show. Remember, Richie Joplin did not come to pit road under the caution. His fastest lap of the night, 39.92. Last time by 40.55. About 0.6 of a second slower. It's pretty common throughout the field as Paulo goes to the lead. Richie trying to fight back on the high side. But Paulo clears out of turn 4. Paulo Inesito goes to the lead. Brandon, will you at least get to use the walking boot, or are you just stuck sitting? Jesse Gordon restarted back in 8th. He has made his way up to 6th. Thanos now in 7th. Double D in 8th. Oh, Double D kisses the wall out of 4 but holds on to it. Gerald appears a little bit off pace tonight. I gotta wonder if he's just taking it easy until the comp caution. Meanwhile, for the moment, Richie on old tires managing to stay with Paulo for the moment. Even making a look underneath to reclaim the lead, but can't get there. The top 6 all nose to tail. Mark Dantuma started the race back in 7th, had a great pit stop, is now to 4th, and closing the gap on 3rd place, CJ Jeffries. I'm kind of scratching my head though on the fuel stops. We saw most of the field in to take on fuel only. Paulo, the only driver that took tires, but all the drivers had enough fuel to go to the comp caution. Mark Dantuma battling with Jesse Gordon on the high side. Almost got a run on CJ. But now that I-line doing what the high line does. Wow, Dantuma got a big run out of 4, but got a little squirrely. Paulo, meanwhile, 2 laps to the comp caution, putting a little space between him and Richie. Mark Dantuma goes to the high side, gets past Jesse Gordon. Michael Whiting now back up in the fight. Keep a close eye on Michael Whiting. He will work in the back of this lead group until it's time to go, and he'll be up battling for the win. Competition caution will fly next time by. Mark Dantuma had a peek underneath Richie Joplin for second, but lost the momentum out of turn 2. CJ Jeffries now takes third. And down the front straightaway we'll get the competition caution. And the comp caution flies. We'll see everybody in for tires and fuel. Folks, don't forget, tonight is a doubleheader. Right after this, the SMRX Series goes to Talladega. A 30 plus. Oh, Paulo kisses the wall. We saw a 30 car field at Talladega last night. What's it going to be like when 36 cars take to the track tonight? I'm going to take a guess that a lot of these cars have at least superficial damage to the right. What in the world? Double D had an issue. Looks like Durant didn't realize how close he was getting to the field. Let's take another look from the blimp. That definitely looked like a wild, wild ride for Double D. Great job, though, keeping it out of the other cars, out of the wall. No harm, no foul. And everybody is on pit road. Paulo already back out. Paulo did a fuel-only stop. Let's see if we can get a word with our leader. Paulo, I gotta ask, buddy, what's the strategy here? You took 4 tires when everybody else took fuel. Now you take fuel when everybody else is getting tires.
Yeah, having a good time, buddy. I don't know. No strategy right now. Just having a good time.
Well, it definitely has paid off so far. How worried are you about getting run over on the restart with all those fresh Goodyears behind you?
Oh, yeah, these guys are going to go around, no problem. I'm not going to put up a big fight, but just wanted to lead some laps, get some TV time. Apparently it worked. Here I am. What's up? How's it going, Doug?
It's going great, man. Good luck. I hope the strategy works in your favor, man. It's definitely kind of a surprise to see you completely doing the opposite of everybody else.
Yeah, we'll call it a day off drinking some beer strategy. We'll see how this works out.
Well, hopefully it works out, man. Great job so far.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Paulo Inesito just having a good time out here as the lights go out. First and foremost, these drivers are out here to have a good time. Paulo just showed us. Paulo Inesito, Richie Joplin on the front row, Jesse Gordon, Michael Whiting on the second row, CJ Jeffries, Mark Dantuma have the third row, Double D and Gerald Thanos Poole round out the field. If we go green from here, the drivers will have to make one more fuel stop. They can go 36 to 40 laps on a tank here tonight. "40 laps may be a stretch unless the driver is really conserving." Pace car dives into pit road. Green flag is back in the air at Auto Club. Paulo quickly jumps to the high side to set up for turn one. But remember, Paulo picked up tires earlier on around lap 16. He did not get tires on that last stop when everybody else did. Richie Joplin right behind him in second, starting to peek underneath. Richie may have the run as they go down into 1 and 2. Up on the high side, he is going to lose some ground here. Jesse Gordon goes by. Paulo still fighting back up top, and he holds on to second. Now Paulo's looking underneath Richie for the lead. Wow, what a run against all those fresh tires. Things getting a little tight on the front stretch. Richie just dives it off into turn one. And don't look now, Michael Whiting on the high side, 3 wide. Jesse Gordon had a bit of a death wobble going on there, out of 2, but holds on to it. Great recovery. CJ Jeffries also right in the mix, had to check up. Jesse now back in 6th, CJ in 7th, Double D in 8th. And don't look now, Gerald Poole starting to move forward as well as Michael Whiting. Mark Dantuma just took 2nd place. Apollo fighting back on the bottom. Dantuma is going to look to the bottom as they go toward 1 and 2. Gotta hand it to Paulo. He is holding on for those old tires quite well. Meanwhile, Richie Joplin is checking out. He's got a 1-second lead. Jesse Gordon just set the fastest lap so far as he tries to fight his way back to the front. And it looks like Dantuma got to the bottom, lost some momentum. He has slipped from 2nd back to 4th as Gerald takes 3rd. Richie Joplin has about a 9/10 of a second lead on Paulo. Mark Dantuma, Gerald Poole battling for 3rd. Jesse Gordon has already made his way back up into 5th and closing in. Michael Whiting still lurking right there with him. Gerald has a big run into turn 1. Paulo on the high side, Thanos on the bottom. Can he clear him out of 2? He does. Gerald now to second, but Paulo's going to fight back. Gotta hand it to Paulo. He keeps fighting back despite the older tires, but Gerald's showing what those fresher Goodyears will do. Mark Dantuma saw an opening, dropped to the bottom. Down into 1 and 2. Dantuma trying to pull ahead and clear out of turn 2. He may get it this time. He does. And Paulo once again out of turn 2 shoots to the bottom. Richie Joplin looking in his mirror is loving this. He's continuing to pull away while they battle back behind. And we have got 3 wide back behind. They are changing positions in every single turn. Paulo drifted back to third. Dantuma now in second. 1.1 seconds behind the leader. Jesse Gordon and Gerald Poole battling it out for 4th and 5th. Oh, Whiting gets a little squirrely out of turn 4. Double D back there just riding along. He might be the smartest one out here. Everybody else battling side by side, using up their tires. Late in this run, we may see Double D on the attack. Richie Joplin out front, about 1.2 seconds ahead of Dantuma, while they continue to battle from third on back. Richie extending his lead now to 1.3 seconds. And oh, we've got 2 on pit road, but it was not intentional. CJ Jeffries, Paul Inesito have a problem out of 4. They clear the racing surface, no caution. Take a look down from the blimp. Paulo in the 72, CJ. Oh, Paulo was loose. CJ just barely taps him. Well, they did not get to the commitment cone. Both drivers go through the grass to get back on track. Talk about a close call that could have been a lot worse. Paulo Inesito is now bringing it down pit road. No damage for the car, but he may have flat spotted the tires, taking this opportunity to come in for 4 tires and fuel. Richie Joplin out front now by 1.7 seconds over Jesse Gordon. Mark Dantuma in third, Gerald Poole in fourth, Michael Whiting in fifth. Double D in sixth has lost a little bit of ground off the lead pack. CJ Jeffries in seventh. Paulo on his way back out in eighth. It appears Paulo just topped off on fuel. Meanwhile, Richie continues to hold a 1.8-second lead. Jesse Gordon now in second. Will have to do battle with Dan Tuma, who's right there with him. And CJ Jeffries is coming in now. Paulo Inesito did not take tires when he came in. CJ has towed it. Gerald Poole is coming in. They cannot make it from here on fuel. We'll have to wait and see what the strategies play out. Richie Joplin now has a 1.9-second lead. Jesse Gordon, Mark Dantuma, nose to tail, trying to close the gap. Dantuma shoots to the bottom through 1 and 2. Michael Whiting back and forth, about 1.25 seconds back. He is gaining on the top 3. Remember, Whiting very little battling throughout this race. He and Double D likely have the best tires at the moment and could start making a move toward the front. Gerald Poole is back out on track. Looks like he took 4 tires and fuel. He is a lap down now, but those fresh tires could help. Paulo Inesito about 1.3 seconds back. Double D's coming in. Some of the drivers may be within their fuel window. I think Gerald may have pitted a little too soon. Double D is going to be right on the edge. Mark Dantuma now into second. Jesse Gordon in third. Michael Whiting in fourth. Double D on his way back out. At the moment, Thanos is the fastest car on track. Tire wear really starting to show. Remember, everybody was on pit road on lap 30. Richie Joplin's fast lap of 39.92. Last time by 40.76. Just over 0.8 of a second slower. Now a couple of cars out on track with 4 fresh tires. They've got a lot of ground to make up, but they've got the speed to do it. Mark Dantuma starting to chip away at the lead. Looks like Jesse really helping him. They were bump drafting down the backstretch. Paulo Anacito is back in. This should be his final stop. Everybody is within range from here. We know Richie Joplin will extend his window as far as possible to have fresh tires as late as possible in the race. But with the two drivers behind closing in, he might need to change that strategy just a bit. Mark Dantuma, Jesse Gordon working together here. Now, bear in mind, both of these drivers will be in the next race, the SMR X Series at Talladega. The way these two are working together now could just be practice for that. Dantuma now just 1.1 seconds behind the leader. Richie Joplin is looking in his mirror, seeing those two getting closer and closer every single lap. It does appear CJ Jeffries has retired from the race. We should see him back in the SMR race. Mark Dantuma now just 7-10. Oh, a little wobble out of Richie coming out of 4. Dantuma now a half second back. They have worked together and caught him. Jesse Gordon, Mark Dantuma, quite a pair tonight. That could spell trouble at Talladega later. Jesse Gordon led a lap earlier on in the race, then dropped back. Mark Dantuma has not led a lap yet tonight. Oh, Jesse kisses the wall out of 4. And they are 3 wide for the lead. Jesse's got a big run into turn 1. Man, there was not a lot of room between those two, and Jesse went up the middle, but he made it work. Michael Whiting about 2.3 seconds back. He is also gaining on these 3. Well, that was definitely a wild turn of events here tonight. Richie Joplin had a 2-second lead. Then Jesse Gordon and Mark Dantuma hooked up, charged back up, and Jesse has reclaimed the lead. Michael Whiting still gaining a little bit of ground on the top 3. The more they battle, the closer he's going to get. Michael Whiting has come to pit road. This will be his final stop. Oh, Richie's in the wall hard. And into the inside wall, he is hit hard. Let's take another look at what happened. Richie just gets loose out of turn 2. What a hit! Take a look at this from the blimp. A couple of laps before, we had seen Richie get a little bit loose out of turn 4. He drives it deep into turn 1. He's already a little loose. Up the track, he gets sideways, almost has it saved. And a couple of really hard hits for Richie. Jesse Gordon still on track. Mark Dantuma is on pit road. And Richie Joplin is done for the night. Michael Whiting is back out on track in third. Double D now in fourth. Gerald Poole in fifth. And Jesse Gordon is in for his final stop. It'll be 4 tires and fuel for him as Dantuma comes off pit road into third. Whiting now to second. And I mentioned it early on, keep an eye on Michael Whiting. He was not battling through the field like some of the other drivers, stayed at the back of the lead pack. Now up into second place and closing the gap on Jesse Gordon. Michael Whiting was in the first league I ever broadcast. I've been watching him for 4.5 years. And you never count Whiting out until the checkered flag flies. He's currently 2.5 seconds behind Jesse Gordon and gaining. The gap between first and second stabilized for the moment at 2.5 seconds. Jesse, slightly fresher tires though, has pulled ahead by a couple tenths of a second. Jesse Gordon now starting to pull away even further from Michael Whiting. Dantuma is closing in on Michael. Gerald Poole back in fifth, closing the gap on Double D in fourth. Paulo Anacito still in the fight, back in sixth. He is open for a caution. Mark Van Tuma now on Michael Whiting's bumper. Jesse Gordon's lead, 3.3 seconds at the moment. Double D seeing Gerald get closer and closer. Paulo Aniceto back in 6th, one of the fastest cars early in this race. But again, he did a very oddball strategy, seeing if he could make it work. But he's going to need a caution now if he wants a shot at it. Jesse Gordon continuing to extend his lead. Michael Whiting in 2nd. Mark Van Tuma in 3rd. About 2 lap fresher tires. Those 2 laps can make a huge difference late in the run. Double D in 4th as Gerald closing in rapidly. Could be a huge points night for both Double D and Gerald. Gerald will likely move from 9th up to 7th in points. Oh, Gerald gets the wall at a 2. And Thanos' race is done. Let's take a look at what happened to Thanos a moment ago. He was closing the gap on Double D rapidly. Out of turn 4, coming down the front straightaway. Closes right up to the bumper. Then coming through 1 and 2, just a little loose out of 2. We have seen that a lot tonight. He smacks an outside wall, smacks the inside wall, and his race was over. Gerald did have to tow to pit road, the exact same thing that happened to Richie Joplin just a few laps before. Mark Van Tuma in 2nd, 3.9 seconds back. Still has Michael Whiting right on his bumper. Double D back and forth, about 10 seconds back. Paulo Aniceto now in 5th, but he was hoping that incident with Gerald would have brought the caution to put him back on the lead lap. And Jesse Gordon just out for a Sunday cruise. Double D came into tonight 6th in points. Just behind Kyle Holden, he will pick up quite a bit. And getting word from Gerald, the air up by that outside wall is awful tonight. I did hear a couple of drivers mention it during practice, but we have seen it play out in turn 2 multiple times here tonight. You drive up there next to the wall, it bubbles air up between you and the wall, the air pushes back, and you go for one heck of a ride. Mark Dantuma is starting to gain ground on the leader. He's now just 3.6 seconds back. With 12 laps to go, he's gonna have to go a lot faster to catch Jesse. Jesse Gordon has only had 3 starts this season. This will be his 4th, and if he gets it done, it'll be his 2nd win of the season. Mark Dantuma has started pulling a gap on Michael Whiting. Double D sitting back in 4th. He just needs to ride it from here to come home with a good finish and having a great points night. It does appear Gerald officially out of the race. He said the car is BER, beyond economical repair. That was one heck of a hit there, Thanos. Glad you're okay, buddy. Jesse Gordon has stepped his pace up just a little bit. He is now pulled out to a 3.8 second lead on Dantuma. Michael Whiting still sitting in 3rd, about 9/10 of a second behind Mark, but he is gaining a little bit of ground. Apparently, if you head down to Gerald's merch booth, you can buy a piece of the car tonight. It's so badly broken, they don't even need a Sawzall. They just are handing out chunks. Mark Dantuma now about 4 seconds out of the lead. Michael Whiting lost a little ground in third last time by. He is now almost a second behind Mark. Double D in fourth. Paulo Aniceto in fifth is actually closing on Double D at the moment. He is a lap behind though. The way these long runs have been going here tonight, we have seen everybody struggling with the car getting loose as that right rear wears. Coming to 5 to go, anything could still happen here. And don't forget, folks, right after this, we are headed to Talladega. Mark Dantuma in second, now 4.3 seconds behind. Michael Whiting now about 1.1 seconds back in third. And the fastest car on track at the moment is Paulo Aniceto. Unfortunately, he is just too far back to do anything with them. Three laps to go for Jesse Gordon. His lead now about 4.5 seconds over Mark Dantuma. Michael Whiting now 1.4 seconds back in third. And Double D has come to pit road unexpectedly. We knew he was right on the edge on fuel, thought he'd be able to make it, but apparently he has to come in to top off as Gordon gets 2 to go. This will be a big help for Paulo. He may move up into fourth. And here comes Jesse Gordon out of turn 4. And here we go. White flag flies one more time around for Jesse Gordon. He took the pole early in the night. Led a lap, dropped back, got into quite a battle. And has been battling up until that last pit stop where he just ran away with it. And coming out of turn 4, Jesse Gordon will get his second win in BRR at Auto Club. Mark Dantuma holds on to finish second. Michael Whiting comes home in third. Let's get a word with our top 3 before we head to Talladega. Mike, you know, I'm always happy to see you out on track, and I knew early on in this one you'd end up at least on the podium.
Yeah, I got lucky tonight. I don't run these cars that much, and they are different.
They are definitely different, I'll give you that, but man, it showed you were doing everything right. They were all battling in front of you. You just kind of rode along behind them, and then when it counted, you're up where you needed to be.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes that's what you got to do when you're not that fast. You just got to ride it out and get the brakes, and voila, you end up in third place.
Well, man, great job tonight. Always great to see you on track, buddy.
Thank you, Doug.
Mark Dantuma comes home in second. Mark, you gave it quite a run there. Just wasn't enough tire.
Yeah, those long runs, I could kind of get a pace that would work for me, but it just wasn't fast enough.
You still managed to fight back and come home in second. That was quite a run, all things considered.
Yeah, I'll definitely take it. Anytime I can get a podium, especially against these guys, that's an accomplishment.
Well, another great finish, and with Mark Nelson not being here, a big points night.
Yep, definitely.
A great job, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you, Doug.
And Jesse Gordon back in victory lane at Auto Club. A great run tonight, Jesse.
Thank you. It didn't start out too well with all the chaos going on and me getting loose a couple of times, almost wrecking multiple people. And yeah, I thought I was done for.
It definitely got a little wild. You 4 or 5 guys up there at the front that first 20 or so laps. It was just looked like you guys were battling on the last lap.
Yeah, we were going pretty hard. There was the beginning of the race there, and then kind of towards the end run there when we were all battling together. Yeah, we went in 3 wide into 1. I didn't know how that was going to work out, but it worked out in my favor.
That was definitely a gutsy move. There was not much space. Once you got up the middle, there really was not much space on either side of you, but you had the run, made it stick, and came out ahead.
Yeah, it worked out. Unfortunately, I wasn't sure how it was, but it did. And I just really like this track. It's unfortunate they tore it down, but yeah, that's definitely a track that I enjoy and live close by. It's a home track for me, so about 30 minutes from my house.
Well, man, great job. Now get ready. You got to go to Talladega, buddy. Good luck on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to need some luck for that.
I have to say, you and Mark worked really well together tonight. You might want to hook up at Talladega, too.
Yeah, it worked out in our favor to try and catch Richie. That was the only way we were going to catch him. So maybe we'll work something out.
Well, man, great job. Congratulations. Your second BRR Cup win. Great job.
All right, thank you.
Well, Jesse Gordon gets the win at Auto Club. Can he sweep the night? We're going to Talladega. Folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few moments.